So I'm here in Bundjalung National Park in New South Wales. It's north of Sydney, and it's a coastal national park, so it's right on the east coast here. And I've been scouting locations all day, and I haven't really found anything in this area. A lot of the beaches were just way too busy, so I just pulled at this picnic area that has beach access. So it's a pretty short walk to the beach here, and then I'll try and find something to photograph for sunset. Very windy, but I saw a little bit to the south here there's kind of this point, and there's some waves that are crashing up pretty high on the rocks over there. So I think I'm gonna work my way to that point and see if there'll be a composition for sunset. So I think back there I managed to get an image. I didn't film it because it was happening so quick, but I was taking a picture of the waterfall that was falling over the rocks caused by the waves, and then also the waves that were exploding behind it. And I didn't record it too because I didn't think the composition was too good, so I'm gonna kind of work my way down here and keep shooting the waves. I just need a composition kind of facing that way, because the one I just shot, the waves were against the plain blue sky, and it didn't look too good. So maybe with them against the clouds, there'll be a little bit more contrast between the sky and the waves. Alright, so I got another composition here that I kind of like. Still the same problem, it's still getting the waves on the blue sky, but we do have some clouds in the left to kind of add something to the sky. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting at f11, 1/40th of a second, ISO 100. And just shooting continuous mode, because I'm going to take a lot of shots when the waves come up, so I have an option of which shot of the wave looks the best. So as soon as the waves start to shoot up off the rock, I'm just going to hold down the shutter and take a bunch of pictures. So with this, it's just kind of waiting for the waves, and you don't really know when it's going to happen. You just have to make sure you're ready. And again, we have one of these little waterfalls kind of right to the right. And I'm shooting pretty wide because I want the waves to look really big. So I'm shooting at 13 millimeter. The waves, when they shoot up, they'll hit the sun. So I'm underexposing a lot. So I'm gonna shoot 1/100th of a second, f11 ISO 100, just so the waves aren't overexposed when they hit the sunlight. And then I'll combine that with a foreground shot that I'll take at a lower shutter speed to make sure everything is properly exposed. Well, I'm not sure if that shot worked as well as I wanted it to, just because the waves weren't really that big. They were big, and then they weren't, then they were, then they weren't, and then when they were big, they just weren't in the spot that I wanted them to be at. So I am walking over here to the beach to try and take another image, because the light's getting real good and it's almost sunset. Made it out of there just in time. Those waves really came in. And I grabbed my bag just in time too, because they would have submerged my bag if I wouldn't have hurried up. So today I'm doing this trek to the Craigs, it's called, and I'm not really sure what's at the end of it. I think there's a viewpoint to the mountains to the south, but I'm not too sure. But let's go get exploring and hopefully do some photography today. A lot of these trails were closed because of fire damage, and just looking around you can clearly see all the damage that was done. A lot of these trees are just still really dark black and still charred from the flames. So I made it to the end of the walk here, and simply spectacular views. You can see a lot of the Gibraltar Range from up here. It is kind of a shame that there is no clouds in the sky. I knew it was forecasted to be clear, but this morning I saw a bunch of clouds in this direction, so I thought I might get lucky, but it doesn't look like it tonight. So actually I'm noticing as the sun's going to go down, pretty much all these mountains are going to go into shadow, so we won't get any more light on them. So I put on my wide angle lens real quick because we are getting a really nice blue hour. So I just kind of put these rocks in my foreground here and the mountains in the background. And I am focus stacking this one because the rocks are so close. So I'm focusing on the near rock, the far rock, and then the mountains in the background. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this image. It'd be so much better if there were clouds, and the mountains look kind of small because they're so far away and I'm using a wide angle, but I still think it kind of works. So I'm here today at Canangra Boyd National Park. It's in the Blue Mountains World Heritage Area in the Greater Blue Mountains ecosystem. And it's only about 180 kilometers west of Sydney. So I'm here because there's supposed to be a nice lookout that shows the mountains around here and also a waterfall on this trek. So I'm hoping to do some landscape photography tonight. So I think I've already found a location to photograph for sunset. I haven't even been walking for maybe 10 minutes and I came to this amazing viewpoint. You've got the river down there leading to the mountains and this big sandstone cliffs to the right. Just spectacular scene. So that's definitely what I want to shoot for sunset. But I still have over 2 hours until sunset, so I'm going to explore the trail a little bit more because they said there was a waterfall as well. So I might be able to check that out and then be able to come back to this spot. Alright, it might be hard to hear me because the waterfall is raging, but wow. This is a pretty spectacular waterfall. But yeah, and we've got these nice ferns. It's kind of in this nice dark gully. So I'm going to kind of look around for a composition and then take an image. Then I'll run back up to the top for sunset because I still have plenty of time because it wasn't far at all of this spot. So pretty simple composition here. I've just got this kind of river in the foreground in the middle there, and then in the foreground I've got these rocks in the water, and then in the background in the left is the waterfall. And I'm being careful to make sure I cut the sky out of the image just because I want to get it in one exposure without having to bracket. And again, I'm going to do the 4-image focus stack. 1.3 seconds, F11, ISO 100. So I'm back at the viewpoint where I'm going to photograph for sunset. It was just a short walk from the waterfall. So tonight this is what I'll be shooting. And I already know my subject, which will be this cliffside over here, the mountains over here, and the mountains to the left. So that's going to be my main subject. So now I'm just going to have to look around at all these rocks and everything to find something to put in the foreground. Yeah, and I'll go over my composition here. It's just pretty much split into 3 equal parts. You've got the bottom, the rocks here, the middle, the mountains with the cliff on the right, and then the other mountains on the left. And then again in the center, this mountain peak, and in the background, the sky. So a pretty simple composition, and I actually do like the blank space in the sky because it just kind of mellows out the image, I think, because there is a lot of stuff going on in it. So without the sky being all crazy with clouds, I think it adds to it and still makes it a pleasing image. But the light's really going off now, so I'm going to take some photographs. Alright, so 5-second exposure, f11, ISO 100.